All righty, folks. Thank you for your patience there. Thank you all for chiming in for our first workshop in what seems to be ages. When we originally started doing our workshops, we try to do them monthly, but this year we've been back on the road. We've been doing a lot of events and out and about. So, but thank you all for joining us. I'm Eric Oliveros. I'm a business development manager and formerly part of the marketing team. Some of you may have chatted with some of you. And this is, of course, our guru of all things, Deval Panera.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
And this morning we'll be talking about, or afternoon, depends on wherever you are. We have an interesting topic here that we'll be talking about. It's optimizing video editing for high performance storage and robust backup solutions. And sorry there, okay. Sorry, my computer's a little laggy. So take a look at the agenda here. We have the agenda in front of you. We'll be talking a little bit about our new Thunderbolt 4 series that we launched a couple models, but we have a pretty interesting model that we're going to be talking about today. We'll be diving into a little demo there, ideal setup for content creation to maximize the potential of your NAS. We'll have a quick Q&A. Followed up with Discover Hybrid Backup Sync to streamline your process synchronizing data with external devices. So we'll have a little demo of a hybrid backup sync, how to do some backups, how to sync your devices, and followed by what we handed over the mic to our partners at Axel Video, who will be talking about using on-premise AI to search and manage their video content. So they'll be talking a little bit about how they're integrating AI with their features and services. So without any further ado, we will, hold on one second. That's the beauty of live is, so first we're going to be talking a little bit about our QNAP NAS, our new QNAP NAS models. What we
One
have.
second. All right. Yeah.
There we go. All right. So QNAP NAS, our new Thunderbolt series. So let's dive into it. So for those familiar with our Thunderbolt 3 series that we launched previously, which is this NAS here, as you can see, they're side by side, Thunderbolt 3 and our Thunderbolt 4 8-bay. Aesthetically, they're the same. A couple of things that we kept in mind, of course, Thunderbolt technology, you got direct connectivity, the convenience of direct connectivity to transfer, large files, low latency, you get high transfer speeds with like big 4K, 8K files or large photo files. You can transfer them directly, so you have that convenience, and also the convenience of being connected to the network as well. So you have multiple folks connecting to the NAS for collaboration, and also hot swappable capabilities. You got drives that fill up, drives that drive will. You got a bad drive, you got to pull one out. You got to, you never know when you need to just pull out a drive and have the convenience of pulling out a drive, popping a new drive, expanding your volume, and so hot swappable. Thunderbolt, that's what we have and what we keep in mind for our Thunderbolt series, and going into our Thunderbolt series as well, Thunderbolt 4 series. So with that, so just to give you an idea, what we're looking at here is we got different file sizes with different data rates. As you can see on the left here, you got a regular HD file. As you go down, you got Blackmagic, you got Canon 4K files and Red 8K files, just different examples. You can see the data rates get larger, and as the data rates get larger, the file size and the transfer times take a little more time, and that's a little inconvenience when you're on the go, when you're working on a job. You need something fast and be able to transfer your files fast. So here we'll get into our new Thunderbolt TVS 674 and 874T. We just, for those who don't know, we just recently launched these two models. We just put them out in the market. We'll be having an official announcement soon. So it's maybe a little. We didn't intend it to be a secret. We just it was by popular demand. We had them ready and we launched them on the market. But we'll be making an official announcement soon. But they are now available. So with our Thunderbolt 674 and 874T, both come equipped with two Thunderbolt 4 ports. So allows two folks with Macs or two folks with Windows computers to do editing jobs and connect to them simultaneously. With Thunderbolt support Thunderbolt 4 support. Creators can, engage in editing, transferring directly via Thunderbolt 4. And if you're looking for a little more horsepower in your local network connectivity, you can also has a PCIe slot. You can add a 10 gig card or even a 25 gig card as well. So that's kind of a thing that we're trying to make 25 gig the new 10 gig. 10 gig is kind of industry standard for video editors out there, but we have our 25 gig switches or 25 gig cards, and now our Thunderbolt 4, our new Thunderbolt 4 NAS is compatible with 25 gig cards as well. So of course, the convenience of Thunderbolt, using our Thunderbolt NAS for video editing, you got collaboration, you got multiple users connecting locally through Thunderbolt 4, or you can connect through the network, and you got a couple of editors working on a job, convenience, fast. You got speed and connectivity all in one. You got expandability as well with the PCIe slot. You can I mentioned a 25 gig card or a 10 gig card, whatever you choose, or even put an M.2 card as well. User-friendly, our interface, Deval's going to get a little bit into it in just a bit. Just as he does his demonstration, you'll see our interface is really clean. Our software has come a long way since I started with QNAP. When I first started QNAP, it was like DOS software. It was all black and green and very ancient and foreign looking. But now we've come a long way, and it's pretty smooth interface. Also, data security. You can back up your files with Snapshot. You can also set permissions or passwords to prevent people from accessing files that they're not supposed to be looking at. So here we'll give you kind of an architecture of a diagram of how multiple like a workflow with multiple editors looks like. You got a couple folks working here with DaVinci Resolve or Final Cut Pro, connected to our switch there. If they're not, if they don't have, if they're Thunderbolt, if it's just Thunderbolt on their Mac, they can connect with our Thunderbolt adapters connected to our switch connected to the NAS. You see the network card there. You can add a 25 gig card, 10 gig card, whatever you prefer. And then you got multiple editors accessing the NAS remotely from a second location. So here just gives you a little idea of what you can do with that Thunderbolt NAS. So here we'll dive into our new model, which we're pretty excited about. This is our TBS 574 TX, which is compact NAS. This is ideal for folks with like a DIT card, people doing video editing jobs on the go, YouTubers, folks who need small, compact, the convenience of having something compact, but also something direct attached, and also that they can connect to the network, and something, of course, that's fast, a good performer. So with this, you have, two Thunderbolt 4 ports on the back. Well, this is one side of it. You got a Thunderbolt 4 port, you got a USB port as well. You got a fast USB copy button. On the other side, you're looking at another Thunderbolt 4 port on the right there. We got another USB port, and you also have 10 gig port and HDMI port as well. So it's small, compact. You can use it as on your desktop, or you can use it on the go as well. You got the convenience of both. And also,
just want to add in one more thing that who are not familiar with QNAP, we are the only manufacturer actually does Thunderbolt on a NAS device. So we have this, we have a 6-bay, 8-bay version. We have a 4, 6, and 8-bay version of Thunderbolt 3, and then the new one is 6-bay and 8-bay. This one is our Thunderbolt 4 compact device, which supports the E1.S NAS, E1.S drives, which Eric will go through that. But again, we are the only manufacturer that actually does Thunderbolt connectivity. So not only users can connect, you can have two users connected directly to your NAS. We have a Thunderbolt connection, but we also provide on the Thunderbolt 3 models, we provide the 10G port built in. On this new one, we provide the 10G built in as well. On the Thunderbolt 4, the desktop model, we only provide 2.5G. Two of them, you can go up to 5 gigabit connectivity, or you can actually add in a 10G card as well. And then on top of that, QNAP also is very unique to provide an HDMI port on the back of the NAS as well. This one has it, this one has it, the new one has it, as you can see. You can use this to connect a monitor directly to your NAS to play back a video if it's compatible format. Also, you can actually access your interface for your NAS as well. So you don't need to have a computer. You can just plug in a monitor. You can connect a keyboard and mouse. You can access the NAS's interface to, let's say, if you want to quickly change your NAS's settings, or you want to run a backup job, or you want to run a sync job, or you want to copy something from the USB drive. So all of this is available on an HDMI port. So we are the only NAS manufacturer actually has HDMI port on their NAS devices as well. So that's I just wanted to add in some unique things that QNAP provides you, as many of you guys are new to QNAP as well. Another thing that we have moved on from is no longer any of our NAS devices won't have any gigabit ports. We are now standard 2.5 gig port. So all of our NAS devices will come base as 2.5G port. So 2.5 times faster performance. So that's another advantage of having a QNAP NAS as well. So just wanted to add that in. Back to you.
Yeah, appreciate it, Jamal. I was thinking it, but he said it. But yeah, to reiterate that, QNAP is the only manufacturer that has a Thunderbolt NAS, so we you won't see anything out there like it, and we're excited to introduce our new series to the market here. So we'll dive into the drives that are compatible with our new TBS 574 TX. So you got E1.S SSDs. Most manufacturers out there provide this form factor. Out there you see Solidigm, Samsung, Micron. It's pretty common form factor that you'll see out there. And also the cool thing about the 574 XT is that it's hot swappable. So you got the all flash drives. You got a drive that fills up. You got you're working on a job. You run out of space. You can pop out a drive and put in a new drive right away. So convenience of hot swappable, as we mentioned earlier, that's one thing that we kept in mind for our Thunderbolt series. But we're driving it home with this specific model here, that it's all flash and it's hot swappable as well. So again, this is it's a small compact NAS. It's lightweight. You can take it. It's designed for on-site editing. So this is ideal. As mentioned, the DIT guys. We were at Cinegear a couple of weeks ago, and we had some guys that were asking, what do you have small compact that I can carry out in the field? I want to do editing on site, and we were like, hang tight, we got something for you coming soon. We have our Thunderbolt NAS, of course, our Thunderbolt 3 series that we had our 4-bay 472 XT. Yeah, it's small, compact, but you're out there on the field. You got spinning drives. You never know what can go wrong. So the advantage of having this, you got SSDs, and you can definitely the vibration will not be issue there.
Yeah, and then because these cards are small, they have what we saw there was they had a monitor on the card, they had a computer on the card,
right.
But having a bigger NAS like this could take up a lot of space as well. Now, as Eric mentioned, because they are spinning drives, you don't want to move the card when the drives are actually spinning up and running. So this particular NAS not only takes up a lot of less space, also takes less power as well. So let's say if the DIT cards have it's a battery powered DIT card that can move around, it's not going to take that much power out of the power supply, and it's also compact. You can put it below the monitor, you can put a monitor on top of that, or you can just put it nearby as well. And it has the E1.S, which is a new form factor, but the NAS comes with an adapter already installed. They can actually open up and you can put in a regular M.2. So you don't need to purchase a specialized SSD. You can just purchase a regular M.2, and you can put 5 of them in there. You can RAID them together, right? RAID 5 or RAID 6 and then you can have a large enough storage space as well. People who want to use this is again on-site editing. So people who immediately get the SD card or SSD from the camera and then plug it in, you can edit. And because it's network connected, you can connect it to your main network. And once your editing job is done, you can quickly sync it back to the main NAS. And then that's it, and it's finished. So once you've and then you can delete the current job that you have on this, because remember, these are still SSDs, so you may not have that much space. The main NAS could be 60 terabyte, 100 terabyte, but this particular NAS could just be like because if you buy, let's say, 2 terabyte, you can get usable space with RAID 5 is about 8 terabytes. So that's not a lot of space to do a lot of editing. but you can do one particular job and you can finish it. You can use the network to sync it back to the main NAS, which is 60 or 100 terabyte, and you can delete the data on this particular NAS, and you can start doing another job. So that's what it's geared for. People want to have a fast NAS next to it. You can always, people who are using DIT cards right now, they're probably using a hard drive connected to their computer, and once they're done editing, they will take the hard drive, give it to somebody who has the actual data, and then they'll copy, give it back to the hard drive. Again, that you can see the process, right? It takes a lot of time and space and moving around the drive. That can get lost in transit. It can get corrupted. Because this is a RAID form factor, even if you have a hard drive, one of the SSDs can go bad. Because it's RAID, it can still have all your data secured, and no data losses occurred. And also, if you want to give somebody your data, just connect it to your network, and they can just quickly get the data. You can just copy the data from your NAS to their local computer. That's how easy it is. So again, you can see the advantage of this. We're just gearing toward video editing, but there may be a lot of use cases for this particular device. So just to keep something in mind as well.
Absolutely. And we have a couple of questions. We're almost done with this segment. I'll go over those questions really quick, but just to wrap it up here. So all around solutions, we have, now with our Thunderbolt 4 series, we have pretty much any whatever capacity, whatever connectivity you require. I mean, we got you covered. From like large film studios, we have our TSH2490, which is our all-flash 24-bay NAS. Sports has a couple of that. Well, actually, we have our TSH87 as well. But I was diving into our 2490 has the 2490 has it doesn't have 25 gig ports.
No, it has 225
gig
already built in.
So you got 225 gig ports. From there, we have our indie studios, 15 or 20 folks. We have our 874 recommendations for that. We have a TVS 874T. This is our new Thunderbolt 4 8-bay NAS. We also have our TSH1290FX, which is our 12-bay all-flash. That was what I was jumping ship. That has actually 225 gig ports as well. We also have our 87 series, which is our pretty much enterprise. That's kind of our one of our best-selling series, because it could be for enterprise, it could be for studios, it could be for whatever type of connectivity you're looking for. That's pretty much a go-to series. For our Soho kind of YouTubers, our on-site editing, we also have our Thunderbolt 4 NAS series. Again, our 1290FX, which is a compact NAS. I mean, you can probably put that on a DIT card as well, but thing is, Thunderbolt connectivity it doesn't have, but it has 25 gig connectivity. And we also have our new TBS 574 XT, which is our new 5-bay compact NAS. There was a couple of questions folks that were asking. It supports 5 SSDs, 5 flash drives on that. So that's a question that I saw pop up. A few people were asking 5 drives on that specific model. And then we got, of course, our photographers out there. For the 73 series has been kind of a good go-to NAS for photography. It's our AMD Ryzen powered NAS 473, 673A, and 873A. So again, whatever type of connectivity, whatever type of capacity you need, I mean, we have a solution for you. So just to wrap it up, that's my end of the portion. Thank you for joining in.
We have a lot more.
We have a lot more to cover, but just my end of the portion. You can reach us if you have any questions after our workshop. You can reach us at usasales@qnap.com, and we invite anyone out there to visit us at NAB East. We're going to be there next week in New York. So if you're out in the New York area, come visit us. We're at booth N2374. And let's dive into some of the questions here that we have there. TBS 574 looks like
yeah, I can see here. You want me to start?
Yeah.
All right. So Albert is asking, we have a lot of people who are going now to 25G. Yes. As well, QNAP is focused not only on, well, our focus is for lower end models, so 2.5G connectivity, but for large scale models, like especially for video editing, like because we have a lot of studios that use QNAP devices, right? I won't be able to mention names, but there are a lot of studios, big studios that actually use QNAP devices there, and they keep complaining about speed issues because they're actually going to like 4K was the standard like a long time ago, but now people are moving to 6K, 8K, 12K. We have a studio that actually has the virtual video wall around like what they do is they have a QNAP NAS that actually the virtual video wall will actually broadcast or will actually get data from that QNAP device. Now, well, virtual video wall has like a 12K video file, and they require very low latency, fast access, right? So that's the reason we have all flash NAS devices. We actually have I think 4 models that have all flash devices. And for all flash, you want to take the maximum advantage. You want to go with 25 gigabit. 10G won't be, the all flash will easily saturate 10G connection. And then not only for one user, we have like if you want like 4K, 8K, 6K editors, even 12K, you have multiple editors, right? So these devices can reach about 5,000, 6,000 megabytes of read and write. So 10G won't be able to cut it anymore. You require something faster, right? So all of our all flash devices come with not just one, 25 gigabit connectivity. So we can trunk them together to get 50 gigabit connectivity as well. And then we also now support SMB multi-channel, which I'm going to show you shortly. And then that will actually also boost your speeds as well. So the next question is, it makes sense to aggregate several 10 gigabit connected to I think that's Sam answering the question for us. Sam will be our guest speaker for Axel AI. He's going to also help answer the questions as well. So thank you for that, Sam. The 25G, and also just want to give you we have a 25G 16 port switch. Now the price, there's another thing that to factor as well. The price point for 25 gigabit connectivity is coming down really fast as well. Our 25G managed layer 2 switch, which is a 16 port 25G, it's around $1,200. Again, I'm going to repeat that again. 25G 16 port switch, it's a managed switch layer 2, and it has 16 25G 110G port, and it is just around $1,200. Now you won't be able to beat that connection. So the switch is compatible with 10G connection. So if you don't have a 10G device, 25G device, you can just connect the 10G to that particular switch, and you can get 10G connection as well. But again, you are future-proofing yourself with faster connection, and then you can trunk them to get up to 4 port. You can actually get 100 gigabit connectivity out of that switch, and you can still have about 12 more computers that you can connect, even after sacrificing 4 ports out of that switch. So imagine that, imagine the price point, imagine the performance as well. Another question is, will there be a shareable link to this presentation? Yes, so we will have a recording. We'll have a follow-up email. Everything will be available, and then we'll be posting this on our YouTube channel, so you can play back anytime as well. Another question is the Thunderbolt port still a 10G uplink, or it's now a 40 gigabit connectivity? So it's 20 gigabit up and down, so it's still limited to 20 gigabit connectivity, but this is faster than 10G for sure. The 574 looks like to be a great for field capture and DIT application. Oh, that's SAP, sorry. I think I missed how many. So it's a 5 port device. I think Sam's already answering my question.
Where's QNAP hardware made? Is there any networking or CPU components of PRC origin? Our manufacturing,
yes.
HQ is in Taiwan. All our manufacturing is done in Taiwan.
Another question is how much this device costs. So this device is not yet out there. We only have the Thunderbolt 4, and the pricing is out for that. But the 574, we should have it about end of this year. Now the throughput, we see about 1,600 to 1,700 megabytes of read and write. Not megabits, megabytes of read and write. So multiple 4K, multiple 6K people can actually access this. And actually, if you saw the one of the slides that actually show about like the rates of the 6K video files, it can easily handle that. Actually can have multiple of them as well connected. So that is it.
Will there eventually be a Thunderbolt 4 card upgrade like Thunderbolt 3 that we had? Unfortunately, right as of now, we don't have any plans on that.
So another question is, I like the 1290FX. It's kind of a 19-inch rack, and that's less deep. So 1290 is a desktop NAS. It's very compact. You can fit. It's a 12-bay NAS as well. So it's a really good fit for people who don't have that much space in their network. So we have a 1290 25G connect. So we managed to comply.
I'll get the rest. I'll respond to the rest. But yeah, well, thank you for the questions. There's some good stuff out there. I'll any questions we'll be responding as we go. But as we're limited on time, so we'll keep the show rolling. If you have any questions, feel free to add them in the chat.
Perfect. So there are a lot of questions people were asking. I'm going to start with simple setup first. So a lot of people were asking how to connect the QNAP and Thunderbolt device. Now, Thunderbolt NAS is compatible with Windows now, as well as Mac. For a long time, Windows was not compatible, but now Windows is compatible. So all the computers with Windows Thunderbolt 4, as well as USB 4, now can be connecting directly to this NAS. So there's 2 Thunderbolt ports on the back of this NAS. Unfortunately, it's turned on, so I won't be able to move this NAS, but there's 2 Thunderbolt ports on the back of the NAS. You can have a Thunderbolt cable. You have to install QFinder on your computer, Mac or Windows. You might have to make sure that you connect that to or install that to your computer. Once you install the software, just connect the cable. Provided the NAS is already set up, the NAS will beep. There'll be 3 beeps letting you know that the Thunderbolt is connected. Now, if you see in the front, the LCD will light up saying that Thunderbolt is connected. On the Mac, you should see, on the Mac, QFinder will actually pop up saying that the Thunderbolt is connected. Usually takes about 2 to 5 minutes for the connection to be happening. And then right here, it pops up. Now, it will tell you to enter your login information for your NAS. So you can put in the login information for your NAS, click OK, and then it will ask you to select the IP address, which you do not need to change. It's automatically Thunderbolt. And you can select the protocol, which now we recommend for everyone, Samba and SIF connection. So everyone, Final Cut Pro, Adobe, or any other software, Blackmagic, any of the software you're going to be using, just ensure that you use SMB and CIF connections. If you're using an older version of Final Cut Pro, then NFS is recommended. We have the setup for that as well. But once you have done that, just click OK. It will show you all the folders that you have on your NAS, and then you can actually select the folder that you want to connect. And you can actually, I think you can select multiple folders. Yeah, so you can select multiple folders, and then once you click OK, right here I have multiple folders connected, and you can see double click on it, and you can now access your data as well that you want to access. So right here, you can see all the data that you have on your NAS, and it's just like a regular folder. So now when you're actually opening up your Adobe Reader or any other software that you're using, just show this particular folder that you have on your NAS, and then you can start accessing the data. So that's how simple it is to actually open up a particular folder on a QNAP NAS via connecting the Thunderbolt. So once you connect the Thunderbolt cable, make sure you have QFinder software installed. So now let's get deeper in the setup. So I'm going to open up one of my QNAP NASs. So most of the QNAP NAS will come with an M.2 for either you can use it for caching or you can use it for storage pool as well. So you can, with QNAP, you can actually create a storage pool on your QNAP NAS. Another thing to note is that we do not block you from connecting any other. Yeah, I have a.
Can we please mute your microphone, please?
Okay, so thank you for that. So we do not stop you from using any other manufacturer's drive. We do not. You can use any manufacturer's drive. We have a compatibility list of any drives you can use. We support Western Digital. We support Seagate. We support Micron. We support a bunch of other manufacturers. Toshiba is another one as well that comes into mind. Right. But we support a lot of Samsung, again, for M.2s, SSDs. So we support a lot of different manufacturers. We do not block you from using it. And also, if you use M.2s from different manufacturers, you can actually use it for storage. You create your own storage pool, or you can use it for caching as well. So on this particular NAS, you can see there's all my disks, and you can see I have 2 M.2s installed. And then
if you please mute your microphone, we greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much. So if you want to create a storage pool, so with QNAP NAS, especially for the 874 or 674Ts, which has M.2s and SSD hard drives, I would recommend to create a separate storage pool just on the M.2s. So now you can use that for editing your current job. And once you finish that, you can move that to your regular hard drive. So this way you can control the speed. With caching, you can also use it for caching, but with ZFS, write cache is not a big advantage. You can get a great read caching, but write caching is not a good advantage. So we recommend using it for creating your own storage pool. So create a new storage pool, just go to storage and snapshot, click on new storage pool, and then click on next, and you can select the two M.2s you've installed. And we recommend RAID 1 because especially if you lose an M.2, you do not lose all your data. So you have to make sure you always remember create if you don't care about data, then you can go with RAID 0. But again, if a drive fails in RAID 0, you lose all your data. So RAID 1, we recommend hit next. Ignore that message because I have a lower RAM on this particular model. It will pop up that message, but that's fine. So just click up. You can leave all of this as default. Now enable pool guaranteed snapshot. So snapshots is a way to protect your data. So if you have a lot of data, what snapshot does is that it will take a snapshot of your data every few hours, every few days, and depending upon your schedule you set up. And you can go back in time and recover the data. If one of your data gets corrupted, you can go back in time and recover the data. But it does require some space from your storage pool. So you can start by default, it's 20%. That's what the recommendation is. If you don't care about snapshot because you have your hard drives to store all your backups, you can disable that and it won't take that much space. Or you can set the QNAP to say, I just want 5% or I just want 20% or however you want it to set up. So once you have selected the option, hit next and hit create. That's how simple it is to create a storage pool. Once you have created a storage pool, you want to create a shared folder, right? That's where, so imagine storage pool. You have to think of storage pool as grouping multiple drives and creating a one large storage drive. That would be like a 10 terabyte, 20 terabyte, 60 terabyte, 100 terabyte, just one large hard drive. And then from there, you can create shared folders underneath that. You can use it for your purpose. Now, there's few things I would want to show you when creating a shared folder, that especially for video editors. So just follow that. So creating a new shared folder, just go back to create and new shared folder and hit start. Now, if you have like me, one storage pool for, let me go to my other NAS right here. So I can show you the setup I have. That's the first time when you log in. Those are the prompts that you have to go through. Once you have done that, the next time it'll just log in for you. So let me show you my storage pool setup right here. So I have M.2s and I have a regular hard drive. So if you go to my storage pool right here, you will see two storage pools. One is for the regular hard drive, which you can see is for 42.06 terabytes. So you can see right here, it's about 4 disks that I have added. And that's my storage pool. And right here, that's my system pool, which is my hard drive, which is my SSD. So when you first set up your NAS, you can plug the M.2s, and that's where the operating system will get installed, and it's your first storage pool that you get installed, and that's your M.2. So that's why I have two storage pools right here. So when I create a shared folder, let's say if you're doing it for your editing job, you want to make sure you create storage pool 1. But if you want to do for your backups and for your final jobs, and then you can create the larger pool, which is the storage pool 3. So once you have done that, so let's name a random name that you want to have. Once you have named your shared folder, you have to make sure that you enter thick provisioning here. Instead of thin, make sure you have thick provision, which means that whenever let's say if you save 5 terabytes of this particular, let's say we have M.2, which is 2 terabyte and it's RAID 1, so usable space is 2 terabyte. And you will say for video editing, I want to use 1 terabyte. So if you set up 1 terabyte, it is going to immediately take that 1 terabyte out of the storage pool, and you will be left for the rest of which is the 1 terabyte left, right? But when you create thin provisioning, it actually what it does is that it will, as and when you keep accessing the storing your data, it's going to keep growing, and it will start using your storage space. But the only problem with that is that with thick provisioning, QNAP knows that you have 1 terabyte, and when writing the new data, it knows that you have 1 terabyte. It's going to keep that 1 terabyte. With thin provisioning, there is a little bit of very little performance hit because it needs to know, it needs to make sure that you have enough physical space to store the new space. So make sure you have thick provisioning. And then if you want to have snapshots, you can enable snapshots. So you can just uncheck this box, hit next. And then here, nothing much needs to be changed, but ensure that you have 128K. That's best for video editing. That's your block size. So you want to make sure for maximum performance, you make sure you have 128K. Ensure that fast cloning is enabled. If you want compression, you can have it compressed, your data, when it writes into your NAS, or you can uncheck compression, but never use deduplication, especially for video editing, because that's going to lower your performance. It's only for virtualization applications that we recommend. Once you have done that, warm, we don't require warm for video editing because warm is just write once, read many times, which means that once you write your data, it's written, you cannot edit the data or you cannot delete the data. It's for compliance purposes, but that's what we recommend. And also for synchronized IO mode, it's always going to be standard. Once you have done that, hit next. And then with QNAP NAS, because it's a QNAP NAS, you can actually control who can access this particular folder. You can provide them with read write, which they can write the data, or you can actually access the, by default, it's going to be deny all, or whoever creates the folder will have read write access. But let's say if for myself, I want to have read only. So you can provide them so they can access the data. They cannot delete anything. They cannot change anything. So once you have done that, hit next. Nothing much needs to be changed here. Hit next and then finish. That will create the shared folder for you. That's how simple it is to create a shared folder. Just make sure that you select the appropriate settings for you. And that's how you can. Now, if you want to use caching, caching is a method that cannot really use your SSDs for temporary storage. So when you're accessing data, it will put the data into SSD, especially for read. So if you, if you're a video editor and you'll do a lot of video editing and you put that data into your editing software and you scroll through the video to look at the different timestamps. That will be probably a lot of read heavy activity. So with that, it will put that data into the SSD drive. So when you're actually reading, it'll be much faster rather than going through your hard drive. So if you want to do read caching, just go back to your NAS, hit cache acceleration, hit plus, hit start. Now, so by default, it's going to be for read and write. So you can create SSD for read and write. So hit next. Now, if you have, if you're going to be used, if it's a large, like a 24-bay or 30-bay device, you can actually have 2 SSDs for read, 2 SSDs for write. So you can, and that's the other option right here. So if you have multiple SSDs, but because you're limited to like just 2 M.2s, we recommend using the same for read and write. So hit next. Here you can select the 2 M.2s that I have for free. Now, size of M.2s. A lot of people ask me, what size do you recommend for M.2? So it's a hard question to answer because it depends upon the user's scenario. If they use, it depends upon the file sizes, right? So like for like 4K files, 4K files, single editors, maybe a 500 gigabyte is enough. But if you have like large file sizes with multiple editors, maybe like a terabyte or 2 terabyte or even 4 terabyte SSDs would be a recommendation, because you want to ensure that the whole file can be stored within the SSD, not just part of the file. So that's where you can get the best benefit out of it. So let's say if you have a file size which is a terabyte of a few hundred gigabytes, and you have multiple projects that are open, and you only have like a 500 gigabyte of SSD caching, what will happen is that QNAP will hit the 500 gigabyte maximum and the rest cannot be cached. So the rest of the users will be reading off of the hard drive, whereas the first users who started the project will be from SSD. So you'll be hitting the top limit of your size rather than when you have a larger size. Now, if you have seen the price point of M.2s, they have fallen quite a bit. So ensuring that you have enough space, large storage for SSD would be recommended for you. So ensure that you have, once you select your SSDs, hit next, and you can ask QNAP to which folder you want to cache. So with QNAP, you can actually select particularly which folder. You don't want to cache everything, right? That's my recommendation, is because your cache space is limited, right? Your backup jobs, your like account, yeah, because this is, again, this is a QNAP NAS, right? You can actually use not just for video editing. You can use it for your backup jobs. You can actually use it for your personal cloud. You can use it for your family, like storing your friends and family's photos and videos. You can use it. It's a multi-purpose NAS. These have like multi-core processors, so you can actually you can run VMs off of this NAS. You can do a lot of things with this NAS. So, but when you're selecting the cache mechanism, you don't want everything to be cached. Like your backup jobs don't need to be cached. They can run slowly if they wanted to. Again, those backup jobs there's no reason for them to cache. It's just a backup job. So you don't want to select all folders. You want to select what folder you're going to be using it for your cache. Like, so it could be like your multimedia folder. That's where your videos are. And that's where you edit off of. So you just select the multimedia folder and that's it. And you'll only cache whatever data you have from multimedia folder. And you can do this for your write caching as well. Now, write caching does not have does not do folder based. It's storage pool based. So you can select your hard drive storage pool, and that's it. It will cache only that information. So once you selected all the files and folders, then last part is for video editors, it's recommended to have all I/O. That's where it's recommended for best performance for caching. Random would be best for virtualization applications, as you can see here, or database applications where there are a lot of smaller block size. But for video editors, because these are large block size, random I/O will completely be ignored. It will be sequential I/O. It will be all I/O, basically. That's what we say it as. So you select all I/O for best performance for your particular project. So once you've selected that, hit next and hit create. Now it'll start caching your data. So that's few tips I would like to give you when setting up your QNAP NAS for video editing. So one last thing is people who are using 10G connectivity for their devices, you can use a 10G adapter for your Mac and 10G NAS, and we recommend connecting directly. The reason that it'll give you best performance when you have it connected directly, or go through a 10G switch, a managed or unmanaged 10G switch with QNAP devices, because the next step I'm going to show you is called MTU or jumbo frames. For 10G, we recommend higher jumbo frames because that will give you the best performance for large files as well. So like, for example, we have this 10G adapter, which is available for Mac and Windows. It has Thunderbolt 3 port on the back and has 10G port in the front. This is available. I think it's about $200, I think. So very cheap adapter that you can actually use, and it's a QNAP adapter as well. And you can use it, and it does not require any special power. It can be powered off of your Thunderbolt port on the NAS. So you can travel with this. You can connect this. I have this connected to this particular NAS with the 10G port. So right here I have if you look at the control panel, and you can go to network and virtual switch, and it's connected directly because I want the best performance out of that device. So and right here I have the 10G adapter that's connected with the MTU of 9000. So I'm going to show you, but let me do this first. So I'm going to create a storage pool quickly. All right, sorry about that. So I have have it direct connected. If you also use 10G switch, a managed 10G switch, it will have an option to change the MTU through that. Because let's say the reason I'm asking to make sure that direct connection or through a 10G switch, because let's say if you connect this through a regular network and it does not have the MTU option, because by default all the computers, your phones, all the computers, yeah, even your phones, or if that has physical network connection, or any other NAS devices, or any of the network devices that have network port, by default the MTU is 1500. That's great for 1G or 2.5G networking, but if you're going for 10G, 25G, even for 25G, this is recommended setup as well. You want to make sure your MTU is 9000. That gives you the best performance, but you have to make sure, because MTU 9000 does not work well with 1500 devices. So because 10G, that's the reason I recommend connecting directly, because 10G to 10G, there's no other devices that will interfere. that's 1500. So it will give you the best performance and not a comparability issue. With 10G switches, the QNAP's the QNAP's 10G switch managed or unmanaged can detect automatically if the packet is 9000 or 1500. So you don't have to worry about the QNAP switches. But if you're using your own 10G switch, you can contact the manufacturer to how to change the MTU, or if it's automatic detection as well, like QNAP switches. So that's something to remember. So once you connect this, the first thing you need to do is on the QNAP NAS, go to network and virtual switch and go to configure for that 10G port, and then change the jumbo frames to 9000. By default, it will be 1500. Change to 9000 and hit apply, and that's it. So, and remember, don't do this while somebody's accessing the NAS, because it's going to refresh the connection. It's going to disconnect and reconnect. So do it when you're offline and nobody's accessing the NAS. And on your Mac and Windows, you can go to Windows, you can go to network adapters, and Mac and go to system settings, go to network, and you will see the Thunderbolt connected right here. Go to details and go to hardware. Now, by default, it's going to be automatic on the Mac, but change to manual. Don't change anything else other than the jumbo frames to 9000. Okay, that's once you've done that, hit OK and hit apply. That's it. That's how simple it is to connect to change jumbo frames to 9000. So once you have changed the jumbo frames, I can quickly try to do a test. Hopefully, I can do a quick test. So once you change the jumper frame, it'll be compatible with each other properly. So if I go here, it's gonna refresh. Just gonna select the IP address, make sure that you are selecting the 10G port. Hit OK. Hopefully the folder is created. So test is created. Hit OK. The test this folder is there. Now let's see if I on the whatever software you're gonna use, you can show that new folder that you just added. As you can see right here, it's almost hitting the 10G speeds. So that's how easy to set up a connection between the 10G devices on the QNAP NAS and between the QNAP devices as well. Again, so you can see the read speeds also hitting about 900 megabytes of read, right? So again, it's still optimizing, so you will see some performance differences between these devices. But again, that's we recommend setup. Ensure that you have the MTU set up as 9000. So I think we're over the time, 5 minutes we extended. So I'm going to open up for more question Q&A, and then we're going to continue on for the next part, which is about hybrid backup sync, basically.
All right. So we had one quick question. Is compression recommended? Question from Albert. Is compression recommended for video files? Aren't they already heavily compressed? I always keep it off. So is compression recommended for video files?
So again, with ZFS, compression is in line. So it does by operating system, and there's no performance hit with compression. So it does not really matter if you have it on and off. I just recommend on, because again, if you look up ZFS online forum as well, they all recommend having it on. Again, there's no performance issues, there's no RAM issues, there's no issues for any kind of when you have it on. So just leave it on if you can. If your files compressed, you can just turn it off. It does not really matter. But yeah, if your files are compressed, then just keep it off. I would recommend that, actually. Just keep it off. But again, if you look up any ZFS forums as well, they all recommend just leaving it, because there's no performance hit as well. Now, other operating system, there may be a different answer, but for QNAP devices with ZFS, now we all, if you notice, we're all moving away. Sorry, not moving away, but we have higher end units now all use ZFS platform, because they can be large scale devices with more features. So that's what's recommended.
Looks like David had a question. So 10 gig switches have to have jumbo frames set also?
I'm sorry?
David, so 10 gig switches have to have
Yes.
jumbo frames set.
10G switch has to be having a jumbo frame. Now, if you're using QNAP, there's no settings for jumbo frame, because the QNAP are smart. The switches are smart enough. All the unmanaged that don't have a browser or managed, there's no settings required to be changed. They're all, when the packet is sent through the 10G switch, QNAP will see the packet's information and say, oh, it's a jumbo frame 9000, and will forward, and it will upgrade your switch port to 9000, and it will be compatible. But a third-party switch that are not that are not, sorry, that are unmanaged, you may want to call your manufacturer and see if it's automatic detection, or if it's a managed switch, there should be a setting. I've seen on Cisco switches, Linksys switches, they have a setting called jumbo frame. You can upgrade them to 9000 and you can communicate directly. So that should be, so yes, we recommend 10 jumbo frames on the switch.
Lucas had a question. Looks like it's kind of the same question. Did I hear it's also a good idea to set up jumbo frames on your switch as well? So jumbo.
Yeah, if it's going through a switch, definitely you want to,
yeah,
you want to set up your switch with jumbo frame as well.
Got about another few more minutes of questions. So anybody have any questions, please feel free to enter it in the chat, or we can open up.
I think there's a few more questions. I think there was one more question. I had a petabyte server with 4 terabytes in me as caching is really good. Really did improve performance.
That was,
Albert, yeah.
it looks like that was an add-on to Albert's question. Yeah. And then John just mentioned 128K stripes seem low to compare to others that ensure 512K. Sorry, looks like we got another one. What kind of cable do you recommend to connect 25 gig clients?
SFP28. We just look up SFP28 cables. We do sell our own as well, but you can get any SFP28 cables for connecting as well. There's a question actually. 128 stripe chunk size seems low compared with others. So that's the base. After that, all your file sizes should be okay. But right now, the ZFS that we have maximum is 128K. Anything above that, you should be fine as well. It should give you the optimal performance as well. But we don't recommend going below 128K. Below, the reason we have anything below that is for virtualization application, database applications. But if you have a chunk size which is larger, it should be fine as well. But I can reconfirm that as well. So if you can, if you want to send, can we create a private chat? Or actually, I'm going to post my email address. Just post my email address, and then you can just send me an email, John, and then we can talk offline as well.
Looks like there was another question. Can caching be toggled on and off?
Yes, you can turn off caching as well. Once you enable caching, there'll be a button. Unfortunately, I don't have. Yeah, there'll be a button called on and off to just turn off the caching. Yeah, just repeating.
Yeah. Does your guys are now testing some NLE software for streams count to guarantee frame accurate playback when multiple users play the same media?
I would not be able to answer that, unfortunately, because that will be from our developers. So I'll confirm that. I think you have a good question. So we can. I'm gonna post my chat, my email address. Eric is gonna post it. Just I'll just send me an email. And then once I have your email, I can always reach out to you once I confirm your information as well. Once I confirm everything through our Taiwan team, and then hopefully we can provide you with answers you're looking for. But unfortunately, the NLE software information I'm not really sure about.
Good questions. We'll keep the floor open for Q&A for another minute or so before we wrap up and move on to our next part of our workshop. So if you have any questions, please feel free to enter them in the chat, and we'll get to them. And also I'll add any general questions. If you have any general sales questions or any product questions, you can email us at usasales@qnap.com. So I'll enter their email address as well.
You have depth rack mount all flash. We don't have an all flash. That is that. I have to Let's see. Don't open up the.
Yeah.
Look up the.
Oh, looks like it.
Yeah, I think the small one, the one we have is about 22 inches. So right now we don't have a 19-inch short there. We do have regular NAS models with 19-inch. Unfortunately, uh, the rack mounts we don't, the all flash we don't have smaller. Yeah, that would be yeah, for OB trucks definitely you don't have that much space for sure. I can take this as a, I can ask this because 24 bay also requires enough. I think the reason it could be because we want to make sure that it has enough airflow and also the power supply. So that's probably the reason that they're not probably able to make anything smaller. But I can always check with HQ there's anything coming up in the pipeline or something we can suggest as well for you guys.
Yeah, with that much horsepower under the hood, you definitely need enough space for proper ventilation.
Thanks, sir. Thank you, Albert. Yeah, we have a lot of users are we were surprised on how many people are actually using the all flash 101290 FX is a great it's actually bestseller for us.
Yeah.
In this particular space as well. So again, it's a compact NAS with 12 bays, desktop.
12 U.2s and 25 gig.
Yeah, U.2, so 25 gig port built in. Now QNAP again, we don't shy away with giving you high connectivity ports. If you've seen QNAP devices, we always come up with high connectivity ports, so that's another great option as well.
All right. We'll wrap up the Q&A. We'll have another Q&A at the end, folks. So we'll wrap up that and so we can get moving and stay within our time schedule. So now we'll get into part 3 of our workshop. So discover how hybrid backup sync can streamline the process of synchronizing your data with external devices. So Deval will do a quick demo about hybrid backup sync. That's our all-in-one app that we use for you can back up to the cloud, back up to another NAS, back up to an external device. We make all backups synchronized easy with one app. It's pretty much a breeze. So here, I'll hand it over to Deval.
Thank you. All right. So before I start the hybrid backup setting, I've just missed one setting that I wanted to show you is for SMB multi-channel. Now, all of our new devices with the firmware 5.1 and above, we now support something called SMB multi-channel. Now, SMB multi-channel is something alternative to port trunking. If you go to control panel on your NAS, if you have a QNAP NAS right now, you can follow this with me as well. And then we have something called SMB multi-channel. What this will do is especially if you connect this, because most of the QNAP NAS comes with multiple networks, right? It could be 2.5G port, 10G port, 225G port. What you can do is the SMB multi-channel can use both ports, and it will give you double the speed. So it could be 2.5G will give you 5 gigabit port with SMB multi-channel. Now, if you guys know, there's also something called 802.380 or port trunking. Now that is for the whole NAS, and that requires special switches, special routers to be able to take full advantage of that, right? So let me give you an example. Now, if you have a NAS, or if you have a computer with 10G and your NAS is 2.5G, right? If you use port trunking and you even do port trunking on your NAS with 2.5G, it's not going to be able to take advantage of that, is because the computer only has one network cable connected and the QNAP NAS has 2 of them. So even with port trunking, it's only going to be using one-to-one connection. But with SMB multi-channel, what it's going to do is it's going to actually use both ports simultaneously to give you double the speed. So let's say if you have a 10G computer and you have 2.5G connected, the SMB multi-channel will actually split your data into two different connections, and it will use both ports to give you 5 gigabit connectivity as well. And also SMB multi-channel is fault tolerance as well. So if you, let's say if you disconnect one of the cables, 2.5G cables, all your data will still go through the other port on your NAS as well. And same thing for the computer as well. If your NAS is 2.5, let's say if you have 25G connectivity, 225G, and that gives you 50 gigabit connectivity, and your NAS computer only has one of them, is going to still be able to use both ports on your NAS. So that's the added advantage with SMB multi-channel. And then you can just enable this by enabling the SMB multi-channel, connect both the ports to your switch. That's all you have to do. That is it. That's the only thing required for your setup. And you hit apply, and that's it. So that's how easy it is to set up SMB multi-channel. And then doesn't matter if you have two 1 gig port, two 2.5 gig port, two 10 gig port, two 25 gig port. Just connect both your cables to your router, to your switch, and again, there's no harm with that. The only disadvantage is it's only for SMB multi-channel. It's not going to be for anything else. Sorry, it's only going to be for SMB connections, not for any other connections. So if you're using for iSCSI and NFS, you can't take advantage of this. It's only for SMB connections. So that's something to note. I just forgot. I just want to add that into it. It's now available for all the QNAP devices with 5.1.0 firmware. So something to keep in mind, and you can test this out. We actually have done a webinar on this. So if you want to go in details, and we have some demos for that as well. So you can look up the webinar on a YouTube channel to look up SMB multi-channel. But the last thing I want to show you before I hand this over to Axel AI is Hybrid Backup Sync. Hybrid Backup Sync is an application we have to back up your NAS, to sync your NAS between either your cloud service or to another QNAP device. So here, and also one special feature that QNAP provides that it's not provided with any other NAS manufacturer is called USB one-touch copy. So first I'm going to show you the sync option. Sync, we have two-way sync, one-way sync, and active sync. So sync basically will copy the data that you have on your NAS to another QNAP device or to a cloud service provider. We support over 30 cloud service providers, and if you want to sync this to another to a cloud service provider just as a backup, you can do that, or you can back up to another QNAP device. Now, people who use this, we have a project with a customer. They have a NAS in Atlanta, and they have a NAS in Los Angeles, and they do shooting for like movie shooting in Atlanta. So they upload everything, and they have a QNAP device at Atlanta. So once they take all the new data, they upload that to the QNAP device, and they have a one-way sync job to the remote NAS, which would be the NAS on the Los Angeles location. And then once you have done that, it will sync the data between the Atlanta and Los Angeles. That's one-way sync. The two-way sync is so let's say going back to that same example, Atlanta and Los Angeles, what they can do is whatever data they upload to Atlanta NAS will be copied into the Los Angeles NAS. Whatever changes they make on the Los Angeles NAS will be uploaded directly back into the Atlanta NAS. It's called two-way sync. So both NASs will have the same data. So as soon as you make any changes on one of the NAS, it will be uploaded to the second NAS, and vice versa as well. So set up two-way sync. You can set up to remote NAS. You can also set up two-way sync to cloud service like Google Drive. So if you upload something to Google Drive, it'll be synced back to the QNAP NAS. If you upload something to QNAP NAS, it'll be synced to the Google Drive as well. So something you can also keep in mind. All you have to do is select the folder that you want to sync between the other devices, hit next, and you can name your job. Conflict policies. What do you want to do? You want to rename the local file? You're going to replace the local file just in case if QNAP finds the same file between both devices. Hit next. You can run it on a schedule basis. So we support multiple schedules. You can run it every few hours, every daily, weekly. You can do that as well. And then once you have done that, hit next. And then you can policies. Everything else is by default, and hit next. That will create a schedule block. But one thing I'm going to show you is one-way sync job. One-way sync job, let's say if you set up one-way sync job to any of the remote NASs, again, similar setup. Name your job, hit next. What we support is called real-time synchronization. With real-time synchronization, the job is always online. So as soon as you make any changes, QNAP will start uploading that data to the remote NAS or cloud service. As soon as so there's no downtime. It does not wait for any kind of schedule. It's all immediately. So as soon as you change any upload anything to the QNAP, it will be uploaded to the remote NAS or to cloud service provider. But for today's demo, what I want to focus is called one-touch USB copy or USB one-touch copy. On all of the QNAP devices, if you notice, there's a USB button, a USB port in the front of the NAS with a button next to it. You can use that, especially for video editors or photographers, when they record on an SD card like this one, or they record on a physical SD on a SSD with USB port. They can plug that into the front USB port, press the button, and the QNAP will copy everything that's taken, new data that you have taken, new recordings, new photos that you've taken into your NAS, so you can start editing without having a computer next to you. So you don't need to have a computer next to the QNAP NAS to copy the new data. You just plug in the USB port, USB, like a flash card reader, or if it's an SSD, just plug a USB SSD into the front port of the NAS, press the button, and it will start copying the data. To set up that, I'm going to show you a quick demo of that as well. But to set up that, just go to Hybrid Backup Sync and go to Store Services and go to USB One Touch Copy. And then we have multiple options, right? You have the Smart Import, you have One Touch Copy. Let me go to this one as it's on a wrong device. I have set up already there. So Hybrid Backup Sync, Services, and the USB One Touch Copy. So here you can do Smart Import, and you can ask the QNAP to dump the data into one of the shared folder on the NAS as well. So you can select whichever folder you want to do, and it will upload all of the new data that you've taken onto that device. Or you can do the USB One Touch Copy, where if you go to Settings, you can ask the QNAP to back up to the NAS. So all the data will be backed up to the NAS. Or you can actually do the other way as well. If you connect a USB hard drive and you click this button. So one example I can give you is, let's say if you want to quickly move, like you're using this on, let's say, for example, the 574TX, right? That's a great example. It's an on-site device that is not on the network, but you have done an editing job, and now you want to move this, or you want to give this to somebody else. And because it's on a DIT card without a network port, you cannot access it via the network, right? But it has a USB port in the front. So with the backup to connected USB drive, you can ask the QNAP to copy. So once you're done with editing, and you can ask which folder is the data to. What the QNAP will do is QNAP will start copy, and you press the button, it will start copying the data that you have done on the folder on the NAS to the USB drive. So you can do that as well. That's just one of the examples I can think of right now, but that's a different examples you can think of as well. But basically what this means is that when you select backup to connected USB drive, it's going to copy the data from the QNAP NAS internal drives to the USB port, or to the USB drive you have connected to the NAS. So that's another way. But most of the people that I've seen use the first feature called backup to the NAS. So when you set this up, you have to connect the USB onto the front port, so you can see the folder that you have. Right now, it's nothing connected, so it's not going to show me that folder. But I already have the setup connected, and then the backup actions. What do you want to do? So every time you press the button, it's going to create a new directory with the new data. Or you can click on copy, so it's going to copy the newest data to the NAS. Or you can actually ask the QNAP to synchronize. Now remember this, when you do synchronization, the QNAP will look at the data on the NAS and the USB drive, and the new data will be copied over. It's going to delete the data on the USB drive. So you have to make sure that you be careful when you select the synchronization. Now, people who want to make sure that the SD card is empty once the backup is done, they can select synchronization, but just make sure that the SD card will be deleted after say sync after the job is finished. I usually do the copy button. So once you have done that, you can select the folder on the NAS. I usually create a camera data folder and hit OK, and then it will also unmount the USB drive once the copy is done, and also do an alarm buzzer. So when the copying is started, it will buzz you to let you know that the job has started. It can also send you a notification when the job finishes or job fails. So you can go to configure notification that I have here. It's for hybrid backup sync and notification criteria. I want all the information for the backup jobs, and then you can ask the QNAP to send you email from which email to what email. So you can select the email right here and hit cancel, hit OK, and it will start sending you the email notifications. So now hit apply. Now all you have to do is just come in here, plug the USB. Just press and hold for 2 seconds. I can't wait to make sure that the USB is detected first. So I could say something I also want to note, make sure that the USB is detected. Just wait about a minute. The NAS beeped. The USB icon on the front of the NAS will also start blinking. That means it's copying the data as well. And if your SD card reader has a light, it'll start blinking as well. Right here, I have an SD card. It'll start blinking here, and it will start copying the data. Now, if you're logged into your QNAP NAS, you can go here on the background task, and you're going to see that it has started copying the data as well. But if you don't have a QNAP, if you don't have a computer on your location, you can just plug in the USB port, press and hold the button, and it's going to beep, and it's going to send you a notification that the USB job has started copying. So, and once it's done copying, it will unmount the USB drive, so it's safe to actually remove the drive once the copying is done. So, and you can see right here, it started copying the data as well. Fortunately, I have access to my email, but it's going to show me how. It's going to tell me the USB job has finished once it's done. So you can also receive an email as well. You can also get notification if the job fails for some reason. Maybe there's a corrupted data or file has failed, or USB disconnected, or somebody unplugged the USB drive. While the copying is done, it will send you a notification saying that the job has failed. So that's also something that you can do, and that's unique to QNAP devices. That just there's a button, because especially when you're on site and you're taking a lot of new data, you don't want to have a computer, go to a computer, go to a computer, go to the software, open it, start the job, right? You just want to make sure that you plug it in, press the button, and the copying has started, and that's it. That's all you have to do, and everything's taken care of. You don't need to have a computer at your location. You can just start copying the data as well. So that's how simple it is that you want to do. One more step I can show you is one-way sync job. So because what I do is I have an M.2 with my storage pool, with its own storage pool that I do my editing on, on that. And once the data is done, I want to copy that data into the regular hard drive. So what I do is I create a backup job specially for that, right? So I'm going to show you best practices for creating a backup job. So you select local NAS, hit select, and then say edit job or editing, or whatever name you want to put it. Your paired folder would be from where the data is going from. So the first paired folder will be the editing folder that I have on my NAS, and then the second paired folder will be whatever folder that you want to select. So multimedia folder that is on my regular hard drive, right? So QNAP backup. So whatever regular folder that I have on my hard drive folder, you can select that, hit OK, hit next. And here I'm gonna set no schedule, right? The reason I'm gonna show you that is why I would show you that as well. But just select no schedule, hit next. Here, mostly nothing much you need to change. Yeah, nothing much here you need to change right here, and you can actually get notifications if you wanted to job finished. So once the job is finished, it'll send you a notification, but nothing much needs to be changed. Hit next and hit create. Now, once I get new data, so all I have to do now is, instead of going to file station, once the job finishes, right clicking on the, sorry?
And making sure.
Yeah, making sure all, like, let's say you finish your job and then you want to copy, let's say this is the editing folder, right? Let's say you finished your job, this is the folder that you have job, right click on the folder, click on copy or move to, and then you can move to the regular hard drive, right? Which is my QNAP backup folder, which is on my regular hard drive. So I can start editing new data. All you have to do is go to hybrid backup sync on your NAS, and you can put the full icon on the desktop as well. Open up hybrid backup sync, go to sync job, and then you can click on sync now. That's it. That's all you have to do. And the backup job, sorry, the sync job will start copying the new data, the new edit that you have done into the regular hard drive of the NAS. You can also do it for USB drive as well if you wanted to, but that's how easy it is. So once you've done that, you can go back to the file station, delete the folder, and then start the new backup job. Sorry, not backup job. Start the new editing job. Once you've done with the new editing job, go back into the hybrid backup sync application. Go to sync and then click on sync now. This is to copy the new project that you have finished. That's how simple it is. So that's a quick way for that I've seen customers use this. That I also recommend new customers that do not know this feature is quickly copying the data from the M.2 to regular hard drive without right-clicking, copying, moving. All of that is not done. Just one click, that's it. All right, so I think that's enough time. I want to throw it back.
We're actually right on schedule, a minute early. So we have a few questions. We'll save them to the end. If you have any questions, please feel free to add them to the chat and we'll get to them as we go. And now we're going to pass it off to our friends at Axel. We have Eliza Hecker, joined by Sam Bagosh, who will be discussing using the on-site premise AI to search and manage your video content. So from here, we're going to pass the mic over to Sam and Eliza. Take it away.
Thanks so much, guys. I don't know, can you see my screen share, or is that not coming through yet?
Yes, we can see.
Yeah, we can
you can see it. Okay, great. So let me just go to full screen mode and yeah. So I'm Sam, and Elisa and I will be doing a handoff here. I just want to give a brief high-level description for folks who are not familiar with us, or who may be familiar but want an update. What we do is AI-powered MAM, so it's very lightweight media management layer that makes everything searchable on, in principle, any storage. Although I will say that a ton of our customers have QNAP, and over the years we've gotten very familiar and very happy with the whole range of QNAP products. And this latest Thunderbolt 4 and 25 gig Ethernet trend is exactly what our customers need, because they tend to have hundreds of terabytes or even petabytes of content. So our thesis is that over the next 4 years, all video will become searchable. You already have a little bit of this on your phone, whether it's Google or iPhone. You get a feel for, being able to pick up people or highlights. We think that trend is going to get applied very rapidly to professional video. And if you think about it, if it's worth going out and shooting and, lighting correctly and, using Sony FS7 or Blackmagic cameras, it's obviously, once you've tested all that, it's the least you could do almost to get accurate metadata about it and make it searchable, particularly because there's a lot more need for reuse of material with social. And without AI, this is a huge problem, and people just pile things up on shelves. All those drives that you might sync off of your QNAP just end up on a shelf, or you buy bigger QNAPs, but either way, it gets harder and harder to find things. And yet the number of people doing this kind of work is expanding very rapidly. It's expected that by the end of the decade, over 1 million teams worldwide are going to be doing this kind of work, and that may be an underestimate when you include the creator economy. So big picture, back in the day, people would plan a show and they'd spend 6 months figuring it out, and then they'd edit it and then they'd send it off and they were done. In the last few years, that's come down to weeks. And because of social media, we're really talking about hours, because your boss calls you up and says, hey, I want something with me talking about sustainability. And you got to find a clip where they talk about it, do a quick edit, and push it out to social media. That's a very new way of working compared to the old way. We have a ton of great customers, 1,000 in all worldwide, more than 1,000. And the other recent trend that's been very interesting is that we're getting bigger and bigger customers. So for instance, our largest deal last year was with the national broadcaster of Malaysia. It was 15 sites, all synchronized with AI-powered media management at each of the sites and at headquarters, and kind of a global, or not global, but countrywide news gathering and media management problem. When we started the company, we weren't even eligible for these kinds of deals. But in the last couple of years, the product has really matured and can handle much bigger problems. We also have a really experienced team, including myself and Elisa, but also other folks who have backgrounds in high-end broadcast and process automation. And finally, the system has a really modular architecture. So you might just need the MAM, the basic MAM. Maybe you don't need all the AI stuff right now. We also have a workflow automation tool called Connector, and a lightweight browser-based editor called Axel Edit that works with Premiere. But you may not need all that. You may just want to catalog what's on your QNAP, have previews that you can scrub through, do sub-clipping, and pass things out to your editor of choice, whether it's Premiere, Final Cut, Resolve, or Avid. So with that, I will hand it over to Elisa, who will demo the software, and we'll be happy to take plenty of questions.
All right, you should be able to hear me now. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. All right. So you should be seeing my screen now. What you're seeing now is the Axel AI user access page. I'm actually demoing with one of our colleagues' servers. I'm accessing his system remotely. I'm just using a link and my credentials, and that is going to allow me to access his server remotely. The interface itself and the functionalities will be almost the exact same when you're working within the network. And when you're working remotely, we just provide this service called reverse proxy to most of our customers that want to have this kind of hybrid workflow for their editors. What you're seeing now is the homepage. The way Axel works is when you initially set it up, you point it at a location. So you point it at a volume or a folder within QNAP, and any storage device. And what Axel is going to do is it is going to scan through it. It is going to generate an exact replica of that folder or that volume within this web interface. So the idea is that you have an exact mirror of your storage in a web browser for you to be able to basically just navigate and be able to find stuff fast. So that's where the AI comes in, for instance. So besides the AI, Axel also works with different layers of metadata. So we bring in a lot of technical information, color profile, camera information, video editor information, just a lot of data comes in, and you'll find that here on the right sidebar. When you select an asset, you can find all its corresponding information right there. We also allow customers to create their custom metadata schemas. So additionally to the AI information, you can also add a type of metadata schema that can complement that AI capability, so you can really perform very thorough and granular searches. So if I now switch on over to this file right here, like Sam was saying, Axel is a modular media asset management software. So we'll have, for instance, 2 AI modules consisting and including speech-to-text transcription, face recognition, object recognition, and logo recognition. And these all are going to be shown in the bottom of the player window. So when you have a clip here, you can see comments and subclips. And then if the file has been processed with Axel Speech, you're going to find the transcription on the right sidebar. Axel Speech can run both on the cloud or on premise, and you're going to get a transcription of the dialogue or the wording within the file. As you're seeing there, it's all time-based, so you can actually click on any of these boxes and it's going to automatically mark the in and out point for you, so you know exactly where that phrase has been said throughout the timeline. I would say the most common workflow within our customers is someone will say, a producer will say, we need to use a part of the 3-hour-long speech in which the CEO is talking about growth. And so you'll do a search for growth within the search bar and come across not only the files in which that word has been said, but the exact part in the timeline in which that word has been said in those multiple clips. So you can perform searches within the file as well. Click there, and go to that part in the timeline. That's for the transcription, but we also have also running on-premise Axel Faces, which is going to perform facial recognition. It just require a very, very simple training process at the beginning, and then it's just going to use your footage to build up confidence, and it's going to, just like the transcription, mark those parts in which the face appears throughout the timeline with their names, with their photos, and you can click there, and just like the transcription, it's going to mark that part in the timeline. That's for the faces. And then you'll have objects, which consists of a pretty large library of different types of objects, which you can find throughout your files. And yeah, just like the faces and the speech, all time-based, of course. And you can see it can get pretty detailed with it as well. And we can also train it so that it finds any type of specific objects that are particular to your content. And the same thing goes for the logos. We have a pretty vast variety of logos that it can already find by itself, no training needed. But if you did want to train it on any specific logos, you can, if you wanted to find your logos. And so to wrap it up, the way this all comes to play is when you want to perform searches. Axel uses Elasticsearch for its engine, for its searching engine. And so you can either type in something in the search bar, like anything really, and Axel is going to scan its entire database and show you any file that contains that word somewhere in it. But if you really wanted to get more granular with it, you can build a custom search with all the different layers of metadata that I have been mentioning. So by clicking on the magnifying glass here, you're going to be able to really build a granular searching schema. You have all the basic, all the technical, the AI information, the custom fields that you created. And so you can really build that custom search and come across the exact file you're looking for. This is really thought for people that work with large amounts of content that want to be able to very, very quickly find the exact file they were looking for. So I could use faces here, or objects, or logos, and really build that custom search by just adding those fields. I can also, for example, choose the approval status for the file and tell the search engine whether I wanted to contain that face or not contain that face, whether I wanted to have it created before or after a specific date. And once you create those searches, let me just perform an example search here, you're going to be able to save those as filters. So rather than having to perform the same search over and over again, you can just save it and come back to it anytime you want. I'm just going to perform a very simple search here. Clean this black and put this like this. Okay, and so you can see the way Elasticsearch is really working when you read the search bar here. And I could come over here and save that search, so I can come back to it anytime I want. And because it's working with that search criteria, it's not going to need you to add the files to the search. It's going to be automatically updated when you're tagging new files that fall under that criteria. yeah, there's many other features to Excel. You also have time-based information. You can use bins, which are directly linked to editing software. So you can kind of create your pre-sequences that you want to then send to the editing software with the in and out points and subclip names. But just for today, I think that will do the demo. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Elisa. All right, that's the Axel demo portion of our session here. If there are more questions, I've pasted our email contacts into the chat, but happy to answer questions now or later. All right. Oh, your mic is off.
Sorry about that.
Actually, we just got a question. Let me just, someone asked, how does it work with Premiere? We have a Premiere panel, actually have had one for a couple of years. We've done some modest upgrades to it. We're in the process of embedding all the AI features into the Premiere panel as well, so that just the same way that Elisa was showing you those segments on the timeline that correlate with different people and objects and speech, those are being added to the Premiere panel. So go ahead, Elisa. I don't know if this is that the, looks like the existing version of the panel, right? Not the new one. Yeah, but that's okay. Go ahead and show that if you can.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm just logged in to our panel. You can log into the panel just like you would log into the Axel web interface or with the same credentials. Sorry, I'm gonna go ahead and log in. Okay, and so what you'll have here is basically a toned down version of Axel. So you can navigate through catalogs from within the panel, like you can preview files before deciding that you want to import it. And keep in mind, I'm still working remotely, so this is all coming from my colleague's local server. So directly from Premiere, I can browse through his content. I can access my bins. I can determine the download path for those files as well. And when I choose to work with any of these bins and I click import, what's going to happen now is it's going to notify me that the storage is remote. This is only because I'm working remotely. So then I get to choose what I want to work with. The high resolution, meaning Axel is going to pick up the original file, download it for me, obviously with all the additional information that was added through Axel, or the low-res file, which for most of our customers, we set that up so that it follows their editing needs. So we tweak the editing proxy settings so that it can be, for instance, an H.264 file or 1080 by 1920, if that's what their team needs. And so when you download the proxy file, Axel is going to bring in all the in and out points, any time-based information that was added through Axel. And because we have a strict policy not to cut your client's files, you can still move those in and out points if you want to, but just for data preservation, we're not going to modify or automatically cut it. We're going to bring in the entire file with the in and out points marked. Although with tools like Connector, we can automate that process so that it downloads just the subclip instead. So yeah, it's going to take a couple of seconds, but you get the hang of it.
And that export, by the way, if you're running the Premiere panel on the local network, you don't need to do that export. That's for remote access, where you may want to be downloading proxies or high res to edit on a home machine. But 90% of the time, now that we're not in COVID, people are directly hooked up to their QNAP. And so when they bring stuff from the panel into the timeline, it just does it by passing pointers to the storage. Any other questions?
Yeah. Any questions out there, folks, for our friends at Axel? Or in general, we'll open up the floor pretty much for any questions out
good
there.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. Yeah.
No, thank you, Sam, and thank you, Lisa.
We're gonna open it for everyone. So Sam and Elisa, if you can answer all the Axel questions, and then I can help answer all the regular questions. I think there's new questions for you guys. It says, can you train Axel as an example? I shoot in Chernobyl. Can I show it? It is a building, place, culture. Can you go and find all the videos for that building?
You can, although it wouldn't recognize from the interior. I mean, you have to treat it like an object currently. So, you know, you could take a front view and a side view and it would recognize those. The longer term trend in AI is contextual understanding, which is kind of the hot upcoming thing, and probably over the next 12 months we'll start to have it. So it could recognize like, oh, this is an architectural shot, or this is a soap opera, or this is a sports scene, you know, and being able to figure out like, okay, it's a sports scene and a goal was scored and the crowd went wild. Today, it couldn't tell you any of that. It could just say, I saw a soccer ball and maybe some grass, but it doesn't understand the meaning of a scene. But AI technology is moving forward so quickly that we really anticipate a lot of these advancements becoming almost routine. And that's why we say, like, over the next 4 years, like, all video should be searchable this way. It's really going to get easier and easier. In fact, the biggest challenge our customers have is, hey, maybe I shouldn't start right now with the AI. Maybe I'll do it in 6 or 12 months when it's that much smarter. But yes, the trainable objects, we're just coming out with that in December. And we already have trainable faces, but we're just adding that capability to objects and logos.
Thank you so much. And another question is, Simon says, has a great integration of transcriptions to make speech searchable in FSPX. Does Axel support that as well?
Yeah, so what we do is we support exporting SRT files. You can bring those into the FCP. You can bring them into Premiere. Most of the editors support SRT. It's like the broadcast standard for captioning and text of all kinds. So once you have that in FCP, I assume it'll work the same way the Simon Says stuff does. But if there are other wrinkles to it, please send us a note. I haven't seen that integration, so it would be good to understand a bit more.
All right, so while we're waiting on there are a few other questions for QNAP. I'm gonna go through that. But if you guys have more questions for Axel AI, just keep them coming. But I just want to keep a note, just give a note about the advantage of using QNAP with Axel AI is because what we do is we have a lot of devices or a lot of products that do hybrid NAS. So we have SSDs and regular hard drives. With Axel AI, the advantage is that because Axel AI uses proxy files, low resolution files, you can actually put that into your SSD drive. So like, for example, we have the 87 series that has 6 SSDs in the back. And we also have other devices like the 16 bay, which has 4 SSDs. Here we have like 4 SSDs on the 12 bay, 2 SSDs. So we have a lot of devices, like all these will have M.2. So you can create its own storage pool, like I showed you before. And you can ask Axel AI to put all the proxy files on the SSD drive. And then you can use the regular hard drives to put dump all your regular high resolution data. With this, the advantage is that when you're searching through the video through Axel AI, it'll be very fast because when you're scrolling through the video, you want to make sure you have low latency access, right? With SSD, you have low latency fast access to your data. So with the proxy files, you can put that you can ask Axel AI to put that into the SSD drive, so you can quickly go through and search all the data as well through the software.
Yeah, we also have customers that have started out with one QNAP and gone through expansion chassis or additional QNAPs. You know, start out in the hundreds of terabytes and now they're in the petabytes.
Yes.
I have to say, like, we probably have way more customers that have QNAP than any other storage brand. And in the aggregate, they have way fewer headaches than our customers that have other kinds of storage. So it's just been a very solid platform. What I always mention to people that blows people away is that you guys have sold millions of these. Like a lot in the creative world and in the media world, there's these companies that, you know, they're kind of boutiques, and you might get their 200th storage system or, you know, something like that. But you guys have sold, I think, what is it, over 4 or 5 million of these NAS
Yes.
devices, which means that when you put out a software update, your beta testers are bigger than the entire installed base of somebody else's product. So by the time it becomes available as an update, it's very, very bulletproof. And of course, that's super important when it comes to storage.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and also the advantages, as Sam mentioned, is petabyte scale storage. Now we have, because these are ZFS based file format, you can actually expand your storage pool to 5 petabytes. So many of these, provided you have enough RAM support for your NASs, you can actually scale up to 5 petabytes on a single. So your single shared folder with all your Axel AI data can be up to 5 petabytes. Now that is unheard of. But again, like for storage, for devices like for entry-level QNAP devices, right? The QNAP devices are, if you can compare with any other storage providers that scale up to multi-petabyte, our price point is much lower end price point compared to all the other service providers, or all the storage providers. So that's another advantage that QNAP provides as well. Not high availability, so high like high density storage, basically. We have a question for Axel AI. It's called, we also have ITT export for transcripts.
For Final Cut.
Oh, sorry, that's
Oh, that was
Patrice.
Patrice answering a
sorry.
question. That's okay. But Patrice, our VP of software, is on the line.
Oh,
So,
Oh, gotcha.
yeah, we were just saying that's as an alternative to the SRT format is ITT. And I guess Final Cut prefers that. Or
Okay.
something.
So going back to the previous questions, we have is the upload encrypted? So yeah, you can encrypt the upload. You can also ask QNAP to encrypt the upload. So let's say if you upload this to Google Drive or OneDrive or another QNAP device, you can ask QNAP to completely encrypt the upload. So when you try to access the backup job, you have to enter the password. So that's another option that QNAP provides. Another question we have is, does it behave well if you sync multiple QNAPs to same bucket instead of with each other? Thought of being you could have versioning. Yes. So you can select same bucket with multiple QNAP devices, and they will all have its own its own folder within the bucket. So everything will be fine, and you can have versioning on the QNAP's end as well as versioning on the S3 end. So it can because for backup jobs we also provide versioning option. So you can have multiple versions with the QNAP as well. So that was also available. Another question I think is for one-touch USB copy. Can you decide which folder the USB is copied to? Yes. So on the when setting up the USB one-touch copy, you have to select the folder where the data is dumped to, and you can select that as well. Another question is for the USB one-touch copy, can you have different actions for different USB devices when you plug it in? So right now it's only one action. Either you want to copy to USB or you want to copy to the NAS. Unfortunately, there's only one action you can set up. You can set up different folders. If you have different USB devices, you can actually ask, because if you go back, let me share my screen again. I think I'm already sharing. So you can, because it does allow you to select multiple paired folder. This is the USB copy. So you can actually ask QNAP to do another paired folder from the USB one-touch copy, and then it will do multiple folders. The only problem is if it's different USB port, it may give you an error that it did not find the first USB port, but it'll still continue doing the second USB port. You just have to ignore that error message, but that should be fine as well. I think that was the last question from QNAP for QNAP, and then I think we answered all the questions for Axel AI. We'll wait for about a minute more. If you guys have any further questions, please feel free to ask them.
Here's a question. Can Axel work with any storage device? Can it move a device offline? And what is the general processing time to catalog a drive? Those are great questions. We can, in fact, work with just about any storage device, anything that's mountable as a file system. And increasingly, we can also work with cloud buckets as well. Now, in terms of moving things offline, the way that's handled is that we catalog it, we make the previews, we get all the metadata that Elisa showed you, and the AI metadata, although that can come later. And then when you unplug the device or you move it to an archived state, all of that material stays behind and is searchable. So there's just a small triangle icon that shows up that represents that the file is now offline rather than being online on the main storage. But everything else about the file remains searchable, including the human entered and AI metadata and the proxy media. So that's the typical archiving workflow that our customers use. And then they can either, if it's a removal drive, they remove the drive, but more often they'll archive it to cloud or LTO, and then they'll just basically tell Axel, hey, I archived that volume or that folder, and then the triangle will show up and they know that the material is no longer online. And finally, what's the general processing time to catalog a drive? That is, your mileage will vary, but it's considerably faster than real time in terms of making the proxies and extracting the metadata. So if you have 1,000 hours of stuff, you can expect that it'll be a couple hundred hours. If you have, the latest CPUs with 16, 20, 24 cores, each of those cores can typically transcode at about real time. And does Axel work with Resolve? Yes. We also have a new drag and drop mini app that allows you to similar to what Elisa was showing with the Premiere panel, but do the same thing with Resolve. And that same drag and drop modality works with Final Cut 10 as well. Oh yeah, and Patrice is here. He comes. Yep, there's some answers. Probably same thing basically from Patrice. And we will have a recording of this, right, Deval and Eric? Is there going to be a recording? Great. Yeah, thanks for all the great questions on both sides. Hey guys, are you on mute? Yes, you are. Deval and Eric, looks like you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So yeah. So we keep forgetting. Yeah. So there will be a recording, as Sam mentioned. Yeah, it will be a recording. It will be uploaded to a YouTube channel. And we'll forward that to you guys as well.
And thank you, Sam, for joining us. Yes. We appreciate it. You and Elisa.
Yeah. Thank you for the demo. That was pretty informative. So thank you so much. It looks like no further questions, right?
So I think we'll wrap it up again. We want to thank our friends at Axel AI, and thank you all for joining us again. We'll try to make these a little more frequent than we have in the past. Than we have this year. We've just been, we've been on the road. We have no excuse, but we want to get as much stuff to you, as much content to you as often as possible. So please keep an eye out for our schedule. We'll be announcing another workshop in the next, hopefully in the next month or so. But also join our webinars too. Our webinars were probably monthly, right?
Monthly webinars.
Yeah, monthly webinars. But workshops, this gives you a chance to do a little more Q&A, a little more intimate. We invite our partners in, and it's a good time for everybody. But thank you again for joining us, and stay tuned till next time.
Thank you so much.
Take care.